everyone. It's 9 o'clock, and I'll call the August 23rd, 2016 Board of Supervisors meeting to order, and we do have a quorum. If I would, I'd like everybody to stand. We have Eddie Brady of Wytheville Church of Christ here to do our invocation, and please remain standing for the pledge afterwards. Thank you.
Let us pray. Dearest Heavenly Father, we thank you for another beautiful day that has been bestowed upon us. Father, your grace and your mercy is sufficient. We thank you for your love and kindness, though we do not deserve it, Father, sometimes. And we ask you to be with the Board of Supervisors this morning, Father, as they come together in this meeting and to hear things, Father, from the community and to make decisions. We pray that in all that they do and all that's said and done here today, Father, will be pleasing unto your sight. Our whole goal, Father, is to please you and not men. Father, we give you the praise, we give you the honor, and we thank you for your precious Son, for dying on the cross for our sins. And Father, we thank you for the Board of Supervisors. We thank you for this county. And Lord, we pray that everything that we say and do is pleasing in your sight. It is in the precious name of Christ that I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome, and we'll start with our agenda. We have a public hearing. And I'll read the notice. Wythe County will hold a public hearing on August the 23rd, 2016 at 9:05 a.m. in the boardroom of the County Administration Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia, to solicit public input on the proposed Community Development Block Grant proposal to be submitted to the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for development of Progress Park, Lot 20. Residents of the project area are encouraged to attend the development of Progress Park, Lot 20. The proposal will include the following activities: extending a sewer line through the Wythe County Progress Park for approximately 3,000 linear feet in order to serve Branch Botanicals Incorporated. A draft CDBG proposal will be presented for comment along with information on projects beneficiaries, including the number of low and moderate income residents to benefit from the proposed project and plans to minimize displacement. Citizens will also be given the opportunity to comment on Wythe County's past use of CDBG funds. A fact sheet on the proposed project and a draft proposal is available at the Wythe County Administration Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia. Comments and grievances can be submitted in writing to Wythe County at 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia, 24382, or by phone at 276-223-4500 until August the 23rd, 2016. If you plan to attend and have any special needs or requirements, please call the number listed above. By orders of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors, R. Salell Dalton, County Administrator. Mr. Dalton, would you like to summarize before I open the floor for comments?
Sure. We made an application to the Department of Housing and Community Development for a $356,000 grant to put sewer into this new industry. 50 to 60 people with the average pay of $66,000. Most, if not all, those jobs have to be offered to low to moderate income people to meet that criteria. As part of this project, Gatorade, when it was constructed in the mid-2000s, put a casing pipe under their entrance. It was already there when we extended E-Leak Drinkle Drive. We installed casing pipes which are already in place, which if they were part of this project, would have cost an additional couple $100,000. So this project is installed pipe through the casing, new sewer pipe that we retained as part of the earlier Gatorade project, all the easements necessary to do that. We have laid a copy of the map. The plan sheets were in the board package. What the application is being processed is, and hopefully we will know an answer in September.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. And now I open the floor up for any comments on the public hearing. Have anybody that'd like to speak pertaining to public hearing? Hearing none. David. Yes, David. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, in light of nobody else wanting to speak, I thought I would just go on the record affirmatively supporting the project. It supports jobs, it supports investment in Wythe County, it's integral to the project's success. So I think supporting the application for the CDBG to DHCD is in order, and I wanted to rise in support of that. Thank you,
David. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Now we'll head on into citizens' time. Mr. Cox, Mr. Matthews, Mr. Russell will be here about 10 o'clock. Is that what you want to speak on, road issues?
Yes.
If you don't mind, we'll, wait till Mr. Russell gets here, then let him hear your comments. That's everybody that signed up. Does anybody else would like to?
We have Dr. Perry that was on the agenda.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay.
I think he has some gifts with him today.
Come on up, Dr. Perry. And welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Dalton, Ms. Bear, Mr. Chair, members of the board, certainly do appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. I know that oftentimes when we make decisions, whether it's on the school board or the Board of Supervisors, we oftentimes just talk about numbers or figures or data, some of those kind of things, and often you don't get to see the results of your actions. And so what happened this year, of course, we were able to work with Mr. Dalton in taking some use of the surplus funds that we had at the end of the year, and we were able to install some air conditioning units in some of our classrooms. Now this morning it probably wasn't as necessary, but the last week it certainly was, and it was extremely hot all through last year. We had some very difficult times, had some kids with some medical issues that had problems. And then also we had to have some early releases due to some heat. This year we were able to install a lot of air conditioning units, not in every classrooms, but we were able to do some in some of our classrooms. And we have a couple students this morning that would like to speak to that. So I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves as they come forward.
Hi, I'm Savannah Shaver, a senior at George Wythe High School. And firstly, I would just like to say thank you so much for supporting the installation of the air conditioners at George Wythe High School and the other Wythe County schools. I remember last year sitting in August and then again towards the end of the year in May in crowded classrooms that were just hot. And it was really difficult to focus on completing the work that I was meant to complete. And wearing the least amount that the dress code would let me get away with. It was just a really challenging experience. And this year I feel that with air conditioners, it's a much more conducive learning environment. And personally, I feel that it's easier to attain academic success at school when I can focus. So, thank you.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Good morning. My name is Nick Martin, and I'm currently an 8th grade student at Scott Memorial Middle School. I am honored that I am able to speak with you all this morning. The purpose of my speech is to thank you for the new air conditioning units at our school. It is extremely hard to focus on schoolwork when all you're concentrating on is how hot it is. I find it even more difficult to handle the heat because we go back to school when it is technically summertime, and the temperatures certainly reflect that. I personally think the air conditioning units have helped the overall learning environment at our school tremendously. I find that students are now able to focus on the lesson being taught rather than the heat. I have also observed how thankful the teachers are as well. Although we were not able to get an air conditioning unit for every classroom, we were able to come together, teachers, students, and administrators, and devise a plan to share the air-conditioned rooms that we do have. 6th grade classrooms downstairs share rooms with 7th and 8th grade classrooms upstairs during their planning time. As you can see, the air conditioners have provided a more comfortable learning environment, collaboration among the staff and students, and thankfulness all around. I take pride in my school, and I take pride in being a Maroon. On behalf of the student body and staff of Scott Memorial Middle School, we thank you.
Thank you for the new air conditioners. It is much easier to learn in a classroom that is not hot. Thank you for thinking of the Spiller students. Love, Sophie McCross.
I'm Bailey Hamburger, and thank you for the air conditioning. It's easier to learn because we're not hot. Thank you.
My name is Xavier Kennard. I am a third grade student at Spiller Elementary. On behalf of my friends and other students, I would like to thank all of you who helped put air conditioner in my class and the other classrooms. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Thank you for your support.
Good morning, members of the board and guests. My name is Merritt Council, and I am a third grader at Spiller Elementary. This is my 4th August at the school, and the first one where we have enjoyed air conditioning. During the past 3 years, August school days have been very, very hot. Learning can be a challenge when the classrooms are over 80 degrees. The new cooling units you helped provide to my school have completely changed our rooms for the better. We have a comfortable learning environment now that our classes are much cooler. The students at Spiller and all the impacted schools want to thank the board for your help in bringing relief to our hot days. This is a very positive change, and your efforts are appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Board, certainly do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today, and I think this kind of demonstrates that sometimes our efforts, even though we're criticized many times and berated many times, a lot of stuff that we do turn out to be very positive. So we do thank you for your help with that. Also appreciate the conversation that we had the other day in the subgroup, working forward on the capital improvement program. We'll continue to work on that. And I did send out some information earlier. We're really pleased with what we were able to accomplish last year. Last year we were ranked 58th in the state. This year we were ranked 13th. So it's kind of nice to know that we live in a county that there's only 12 other school divisions that outperformed us academically. And there's 132 school divisions, and now we're ranked 13th. So very close to reaching our goal of being in the top 10 academically performing school divisions in the entire Commonwealth, and we appreciate the support that this board has provided us. So thank you, sirs.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Perry forwarded you yesterday an invitation to tour 3 schools.
Yes.
We sort of need to give Dr. Perry some dates that we can do that. My suggestion, talking to a couple people, probably is if we break it up into 2 people at a time so that we don't have to, you can have some in-depth discussions, because when we do it as a group, we sort of got to try to keep the comments, and it's a real meeting. So. But it's up to you guys, for a group, or 2 by 2, to set up those times with Dr. Perry. He's been very gracious to offer just about any time that you'd like to come out.
Certainly. And we will. Anytime that you would want to come out, we can do it before school, after school, during your lunch, whenever. But we just want to give board members an opportunity to see the schools and to see the conditions so that you can make informed decisions.
If it's all right with the board, we'll get together sometime today and work up a schedule, and we'll get to Mr. Dalton, and he'll get it to you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Again,
Thank-
appreciate everyone's efforts. Mr. Dalton, thank you, sir.
And thank you, and I want to thank all the students for coming this morning. I'm very proud of you, and I'm very proud of the students we have here in Wythe County that will come and up and speak like they spoke, and you know, I'm proud of you, and I'll open up the floor to the board if they have any comments.
I was just gonna say, I think we need to give them a hand. I mean, I know I couldn't have stood up there and said talk like that when I was up there.
Well, of course, I was in education for 31 years, and it's always nice to, to see students, come up and speak so well in front of a group, because in all honesty, when you're sitting in a horseshoe and you're standing right down there, it's a little bit intimidating. And they did a great job, and certainly, they thanked us for the air conditioners. We thank them for what they're for what they're doing, and keep it up, guys. You're doing great.
Anyone else?
I think it more or less shows what kind of teachers we have in Wythe County.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
We'll get back to school then.
Yeah, it's cool. Learn something.
Okay, moving right on with our agenda, we have the minutes of the previous meeting, August the 9th, 2016. I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the August the 9th, 2016 minutes, then corrections or changes. Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Next is payment of invoices. I entertain a motion to pay the invoices.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. The invoice, any board member would like to discuss or pull out? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Okay, moving right into old business, we have exit 24 wastewater, award of bids and a change order. Mr. Dalton, you want to summarize the?
We opened bids a few months ago, and we've been negotiating with the engineers and contractors, trying to get within a budgeted amount. What we request this morning is first, if you would award the bids to Brazil, and also Little B with the line work on the bid amounts, would be the first thing we'd ask. The line work is $904,047.35, and the Brazil construction is $1,037,000.
Okay, we'll take it to first and award the bid for sale. That's how you pronounced her name. I'll entertain a motion to accept her bid.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Next item is change order.
Let's deal with the Little B change order first. Well, before we go into the change orders, as part of this bids coming in over budget, we have made a supplementary application to Matt Rogers that's in their last meeting, which would allow us to be more in line with what the bids are and make up for the shortfall. However, those applications are due next week. We've already submitted it, but we don't know that we're going to get the $100,000 to make up that shortfall. So what we have prepared, the engineers have prepared, is 2 change orders. One for Little B and one for Brazil. Part of these change orders is if we receive the $100,000 grant, we will come back and add part of this back in, or just about all of it, as a matter of fact. But as of today, we don't, until we get that $100,000, we need to approve these change orders and get a date, last date, that they can add it back in without penalty or cost. So I request that you approve the.
Okay, we have,
Mr. Gold.
first motion was for Brazil, I want to go ahead and add little b.
Yes.
Little b in the amount of 904,047.35.
Okay.
Award the bid to little b.
Okay, I entertain a motion to award the bid to Little B.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Now, take up change order number 1 for Little B. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Question.
Yes.
This was value engineering and was county involved in what we could take out and can they readily be put back?
Actually, the little B one is two things. One is to take out, I think, if I remember correctly, it's the B line, which serves 2 people at this cost. The other portion of it is to take it from 10 or 12 foot depth where we were going under some stormwater pipes to bring it over top and encase it in a flowable field. Reduces that depth, reduces the manhole depth. So the county was involved with all these discussions.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Change order number 2 for Wytheville. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Hill, if I could interject, we'd ask that be contingent on Brazil providing a last date that's what we're taking out to be put back in at no cost.
Well, I had a question. I was going to wait to discussion, but yes, we had that. With the plank, this delay, how much is that going to delay completion and that plank being online?
This is a pre-made plant. The day you award it, there's no delay. The delay has been in the award of the contract, so you're 60 days behind.
We were shooting for 18 months. Now, is that still doable, or are we going to go
More or
to 20?
less.
Okay. And lastly, we still doing a unit that can be added to over years as roaches.
It is, it's an expandable plan, part of the original, it's, I hate to call it modular plan, but that's what it is. It's a 40,000 gallon a day plant that you double, the permit is 100,000 gallons.
So basically, we're putting in the foundation. It's going to cost more now than the next unit should cost.
You've bought the land, you've done everything, all the piping's in place.
And getting the current to it, I assume it's 3-phase pumps. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Mr. Dalton, is there anything else under old business?
Based off the board action, we will proceed with DEQ with closing the loan. Get the bond documents ready to move forward.
I have a question on that one.
Okay.
This Mount Rogers, is that a grant?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Hausman?
Well, I was just asking, is this an appropriate time to talk about appointments?
Yes.
Because at our last meeting, we brought it up and we were thinking, so if it is, for the Recreation Commission, Miss Allison Pollard's appointment expired. I spoke to her and she said that she would be willing to be reappointed. So I would recommend Ms. Allison Pollard for the Recreation Commission.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So appointed.
And another one that I will, is Social Services Board. Ms. Rose Lester's appointment expires, and I didn't think, she couldn't be reappointed, or?
It's makes her second.
Okay. And I know that we got, and I think Martha sent it out to everyone, an application from Jonathan Hammond in Roy Treat for the Social Services Board. Jonathan is a Lutheran minister in Roy Treat. Has had a lot of experience with the, with the community, and I think that he would make a good one. And if it's appropriate, I would like to, nominate him for appointment to the Social Services Board.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So appointed.
Thank you.
And we're still working on appointments to the rescue squad boards. Hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have some to appoint to Wythe County. Anything else under other old business? Hearing none, we'll move into new business. Reports, treasurer, Ms. Guynn. Morning, Lori.
Good to have you back. Hope you're doing well. My allergies are going to get to me, so I'm a little froggy. For your July financial statements in the consolidated account, our balance was $46,152,041, and within the general fund was $29,319,476. I'm sure you all noticed you received the old reports off of our old system. We're working with Bruce Grant to fine-tune some things in Tyler, so hopefully when we get August completed, we will be sending you Tyler reports off the new system. It's definitely been a process. We're getting there, but it's a process. So thank you for bearing with us, and hopefully next time I can say everything's going great, but we'll see. And tax season is upon us, so that's taking a lot of our time as well. Any questions this morning?
Anybody have any questions for
I
Lori?
really have a lot for you today.
Lori and Faye, how close are y'all, what you're anticipating the tax tickets to be finished?
We'll defer that to Faye when she comes up, if that works, because she's next and she controls the books, so I just bill out. So I'm going to leave that to her. But thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lori. Commissioner Revenue, Faye. Good morning.
Good morning, how are y'all? I'm about to freeze.
It's all this air conditioner we put in.
As far as the books, we've completed all the assessments on personal property. We are waiting on a few that we've sent letters out to that never file, and so we're just putting statutory assessments on them because we can't get them to answer the letters or calls or anything. I sent David a message last week. For some reason, when we downloaded the values, we don't know what happened, that they put the license fees on the towns. And so I've emailed David, haven't heard anything back from him on that yet. And as soon as we get that, and we can check, we run papers that we have to check to make sure that we don't have any zeros or anything like that on them. And as soon as we hear back from him, and the real estate's ready to go. Since it's up to David now on the personal property whenever he comes. But he's been so busy with Tyler that he just hasn't had time to come over. So, any other questions?
Have Swale.
The change to the 10,000 vehicle weight, I understand that's effective January 1st,
It was
2017.
2017. Well, they did July the 1st when the committees did that for vehicles that weighed over 10,000 pounds. But since we're only 1 year of taxing, we do whatever the values are on January 1st. So, and we've talked with other commissioners, Mitch Knuckles from Lynchburg, he's works with DMV, and he's told us all just to wait till January 1st, because unless you're a prorating county that, prorates during the year, so.
And the fact of that, currently, the gross vehicles 7,500 pounds and less qualify for the rebate of taxing or the credit. After January the 1st, anything goes to 10,000. So what happens, all these vehicles, pickup trucks and stuff, are 10,000 or less now.
Vans and trucks.
And I got my, I guess, new registration, that shows 10,000 now, which has been 7,500. So you qualify, instead of paying the full value of taxes, you qualify for the
PPTRA.
the Tax Relief Act. So what'll happen, I think last year we were 50-some percent or whatever.
40-something on last year.
So with all those new vehicles added, the percentage, everybody that owns a car's percentage
Will
go down and pay higher tax. But that's a
But
General
it-
Assembly action, not a board action.
Yeah, it was General Assembly, so
So.
there's nothing we can do
Those
about it.
non-qualifying vehicles, if you own a pickup truck that didn't qualify, like I have, you'll now qualify
Next year. As of January 1st, it'll download like that, so. Okay, any other questions?
General tax question. Ms. Faye, as the assessment took some time, there seems to be quite a bit of construction going around, renovations. In this tax season, do y'all update building permits?
They're in the process of picking up the new building permits right now. That's what they're finishing up doing now. And then they'll give that information to us, and we will supplement the values for this year. They won't come out on the regular book, but it would be supplemental bills.
You mean the taxpayer will get
They'll get a supplemental bill for new
late,
construction.
sometime later, or will it come out at?
It'll come out sometime a little bit later. As soon as the reassessment people finish, they'll give that information to us, and probably before they finish, we'll already have the books to Lori, so we'll have to do supplements, and they'll get tickets, but they'll be due around the same time. Most of the time, when we do supplements, they have until December the 30th to do them, to pay them, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And
But we will supplement those bills.
lastly, I looked at the comparison of what we're getting on meals tax. Anybody that drives knows with low gas prices, there's more people on the road. Down there at exit 80, looks like there's a real town there.
Yeah.
Mostly at the food places, and it goes on pretty much, I think the sheriff would agree, it goes on 24/7. You let those lights mess up down there, and you've got a lot of people buying stuff. Does it seem like to you that we're really collecting all the food taxes that we ought to be collecting?
I don't know what else we can do. Their accountants turn their meals tax into us every month, and we can only go by the figures that I don't know how else we can, get the figures unless you send somebody down there, send the sheriff down to check their books or something. I can't do that.
Who sets your rules? Can the board do that to give you auditing rights? I thought you had auditing rights.
I have auditing rights, but if an accountant sends the books in, I don't know what else we can do.
Well, there's a couple of stores in the county that I've brought tickets in that do not charge it.
And I've called them, I've gone down there, and I don't know what else to do on it.
Well, we've got our attorney over there. Why don't we ask him what you do?
I've been looking look into that and see. You're talking about a place that's not paying the mills
It's,
tax?
it's the grocery store.
Okay.
Grocery stores that have a deli, I think I'm right, any prepared food, they're supposed to pay the tax on, is that right?
And that's correct.
There's
Any
no
prepared-
exceptions.
Any prepared food.
Now, it's really unfair for some stores to not pay it because what is the tax? 5 cents, 5%,
4%.
4%. So their bottom line on that commodity is improved just simply that they're willing to take the risk and not pay the taxes. And that's a real tax that doesn't burden everybody. You know, I'm for taxes that are fair, of a use tax, and if they're not audited, it really is a voluntary tax.
What the manager is telling me is that he tells me that his cash register picks up everything that comes from the deli. But I don't think it does,
It
because
doesn't.
we've been down there and bought some stuff, and it didn't.
And it's not just one, it's not one store doing that. It's pretty much the way they set the cash register up. And what qualifies, you and I just said, anything they prepare on site, ready for consumption, is taxable by the food tax, not by sales tax.
That's right.
Is there any statute that you know of that says that they must show the county tax on the ticket? Because they don't. They wrap it all up and just say tax. So,
Well, most of the most food places, they show 2 taxes.
right, I'm saying most do, but some don't. Well, that ought to make you very suspicious if they mix it in the mix. It makes it harder to unmix the mix and find out what should be coming to the county. So is an auditor the answer, or do you have people, and if Scott tells you what to do to audit, do you have the personnel to do that?
We can do that if Scott tells me that what I can do.
So
We can
is
figure
it,
out what we can do to.
well, do you think that that's a simple statute review?
I don't know that anything I do is real simple, but
Well, I understand billable time.
I'll make that, that's exactly right. I'll make that as my best effort, but, you know, I gotta figure out how to enforce it, you know, how to make them accountable. for what's going
That's the
on.
thing of enforcing it,
And how
you
you
know.
make them, how far can I go back, and then how do we bring them to bear to pay? You know, I don't know if we have the arm to shut them down, other than some kind of court action. So I just need to review that and figure out how to, what pressure I can put on them to say, hey, this report.
Well, I think going back is a stretch, although there might be significant dollars there. If we could just get them to pay what they're supposed to, I'd be happy and be quiet.
Okay.
But in the past, when people haven't paid, we've sent the sheriff's department there, and they threaten to tap their till, and then they'll pay, you know, so,
Okay.
okay? Any other questions
We've got this tax issue, this
with
debate.
Pepsi?
If you could explain that. I received, our office received 2 abatement tickets or returns totaling, I think, almost $500,000, I guess, together. And to write a check back for overpayment, I guess, interest. If you could explain those to us, it's a lot of money.
Pepsi asked to be able to amend their returns, and we have to amend them when they do, because they file every year, and then they file with things that's not supposed to be paid on, is what they, and it's happening in all the counties, and I think it's to do with the interest. They're not making money anywhere else, so their accountants tell them to go ahead and pay, and that the county will pay the interest back, and it's happening in all the counties around. And then when they file the amendment, and it's not so bad to pay the money back that they've overpaid, but then the 8% interest is what is really hurting on it. And the accountants are telling all the different companies to do this. So it's, I don't know what else we can do.
Mr. Attorney, do you have any suggestions of, I mean, how,
Sounds like a collaborative effort. So
It is.
Get a good return on their investment.
It is. We've discussed this in the commissioners' meetings, and it's happening to all the counties.
Well, I understand your old association, Scott. The power company has shown us how to do that. When the court rules against the power company, they get it over a period of time, or they reduce your bill. Wouldn't it be great if we said we'll reduce this amount and not give them any money back, but give them credits like the power company does to a consumer? When they lose a hearing with State Corporation Commission, you don't get any money back, you get credit on future bills.
I'll look into that and talk to Faye about it and see what that option is.
Okay.
The bigger question today is these bills, but how many other big companies out there do we have that we owe a lot of money that are not
I
contested?
don't think that there's any, because Gatorade, we actually talked to the head people in Texas or wherever they're located now. They were from Texas when we talked to them. They had taken down 2 lines at our local Gatorade, and so I think we're all right on Gatorade. Yeah, I think it's just Pepsi, I think, right now, as far as I know. We haven't heard from anybody else.
how many years are there going back and
3
amending?
years.
3 years?
Are they saying this abatement is pollution control equipment or what?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. And it's state, I mean, or federal or whatever, and we can't, there's nothing we can do on it, so.
Well, I understand pollution control equipment, you can get abatements and not pay taxes. But if your pollution control equipment is a filtration plant for water and you're selling that water, how does that fit that state and federal guidelines? That'd be a question of county attorney. Before we pay this, we need to understand, do they really qualify?
Okay.
I guess is the question.
If it's Pepsi, does the Crichton matter also?
Actually, they owe the money back since it's machinery took.
Now, is this Pepsi or Pepsi and Gatorade, since they're both owned by the same?
It's just the bottling company.
It's one on the interstate. The Bottling Group LLC is a.
It's actually the Pepsi.
The other one operates under SVC.
Anything else?
Anybody have any other questions for Faye? Thank you, Faye.
Thank you.
Next up, Sheriff. Morning.
Mr. Dalton came and talked to me a couple days ago, and we discussed the budget, and he's told me that he felt that the board would want to go by the rules of the MOU, even though I haven't signed it. And I told Mr. Dalton, I've been advised by an attorney, I've been advised by the Virginia Sheriff's Association not to sign the MOU. I looked up a few definitions of memorandum of understanding on some of the law sites, and it's a non-binding agreement between 2 or more parties, companies, organizations to establish a partnership. Well, it's non-binding to begin with, and I didn't sign it because I knew there were things in it that I wouldn't agree to start with. So I don't think the stuff in that agreement should be forced upon. And later, Mr. Dalton sent me an email that on behalf of the board, he was withholding overtime sheets until we produced time sheets. And Our timesheets contain criminal information on criminal cases. When those guys get out there on the interstate, they're not just writing tickets. If you'll look at the state police website, you'll see a link to crime in Virginia, and you'll find out that Wythe County makes more drug cases than most agencies, twice our size, because of the interstate. A lot of that's come from the interstate. We capture more fugitives and wanted people than most counties twice our size. So we're not just out there writing tickets. I mean, you've seen the stories. We've got dead bodies out of vehicles. We've arrested people that just committed robberies. You know, they're not just out there writing tickets, and that information is on those timesheets. And to be quite honest with you, you're not entitled to that information. That information is not even FOIA discoverable. Now, if you want to come down to just what particular information that you're looking for that I'm willing to share with you, I'll be glad to provide that to you. But the timesheets are not part of that. And to withhold the overtime, I mean, you got these deputies out there working on the interstate every day, making you money, and you're not going to pay them for doing that? I got young deputies that count on that money. They've got plans for that money. You know, it might be to pay their insurance, or it might, you know what, but these guys don't make a lot of money, and now you're withholding that from them after they get out there doing a very dangerous job and helping provide income for this county. This morning, I was on the phone with somebody from Federal Hour and Wage. The Fair Labor Standards Act governs overtime. Virginia doesn't have anything to do with overtime, but the federal government does have something to do with overtime. And the Fair Labor Standards Act says if you knowingly fail to pay overtime, it's punishable by a civil penalty of $10,000, and I believe that's per occurrence, per employee. The second offense is $10,000 civil penalty, and you can be incarcerated for it. Now, the lady I talked to this morning couldn't answer all my questions about the overtime, but she did tell me that much. And she's having a wage and hour investigator contact me this evening. I told her I had to be at this meeting, and if he'd call me after lunch, that would be good. When I talk to him, I'd like to say that this was resolved here today and that I really don't have a complaint. But if we can't get this resolved today, then I do have a complaint. So I'm here for any questions you got.
Well, Sheriff, let me ask one. I mean, from what I hear you saying, is you don't have objections to the number of officers working and the overtime hours that they put in. It's just the timesheets that have that criminal information on it.
That timesheet is our timesheet. It becomes part of that case file once that crime's made.
And I understand that.
If you're just looking for how many tickets they wrote, I can tell you at the drop of a hat how many we've written for the year. I can tell you by officer who wrote the most. And you're welcome to that information.
And the hours that they work, not what they, I mean, not any criminal information, but just the, you know,
If you
the
just
hours.
want to know the hours they work, I talked to John Jones at the Sheriff's Association. He said, I have to provide you with the deputy's name, the date he worked it, and how many hours he works. Well, we do that each month and have done it that way for years. Now, if you need something in addition to that, I may or may not be willing to give it to you, but if you ask me, and I am willing, I'd be more than happy to give it to you.
Well, I have to say, I didn't know, you know, the timesheets included any information like that. I mean, I guess, Keith, Sheriff, what we're saying, what I'm saying is that when I think of a timesheet, I just think of numbers. Yeah, timesheet. I don't think that we are looking for any.
These guys log down everything they do. If they check your business, they log it down. If they stop a vehicle, they log it down.
So your timesheet is not just a timesheet, it's also a log sheet.
It is.
All right, and the only thing that we were asking for is just the time, not the.
We provide you that every month. The date that the officer's name, the date he worked it, and how many hours he worked. And if there's something else you want, let me know, and I may or may not be willing to give it to you, but if I am, I will. If it's not something pertaining to criminal, I don't really foresee anything else I wouldn't give you.
Well, I can't see any reason we would need that.
No, I don't either. Mr. Dalton, what exactly did we request?
Time sheets. That's what.
Well, time sheets are, what do we debate, what a time sheet is. Well, the county employees do is a time sheet that says I begin work at 8, I took an hour for lunch, and I end. That's all we're asking.
Well, then the only thing we're not giving you is the beginning time and the end time. We're giving you the number of hours worked. And I'll be glad to include the beginning time and the
Okay,
end
yeah,
time.
and I think that'll resolve, because honestly, I don't think anybody on the board, when we said timesheet, we were just thinking naturally, timesheet, not that was also in conjunction with a log sheet. We're not, we're not looking for any of that information. We've just, just the,
Be glad to do that.
okay, well, that one was easier than I thought.
What we'll do, if Steve would step out and grab a blanket, we'll just hand the kid now. It's really just the name of the employee, the day they work, beginning and end. Nothing else we want.
The only difference in that and what we're giving you now is
Currently, you're doing a payroll change form that just says I work 12 hours overtime.
well, we submit with that the paperwork that shows the name, each date that they worked, and the hours. So I'll just change the hours to beginning time and end time.
I think the only thing we're getting, Keith, is it says I work August 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, 14 hours overtime. And the pay, that's all we're getting.
Okay. Well, give me what you want, and I'll.
Stephen, can you go out and get that?
Thank you.
I need to ask you two things. Local enforcement, we got 2 roads surface treated. We got Archer Road, and we got a half mile of Miller Street. They have now been posted at 35. Can you find somebody to work those for a month or so, just so people know that we mean that 35-mile speed limit is going to be enforced?
We can send somebody out there.
Archer's all the way through, and when the interstate backs up, it's a shortcut. It shows that you can get northbound from there. Now, people have been used to not abiding by conditions, but they say it's not posted. These roads are only safe at 35.
Right.
But people drive 55 and 60 on these secondary roads. Now that they're posted, if you write a ticket, you're going to get a conviction, aren't you?
Yes.
So that's one, and the other one is my age-old gripe. The plastic signs that says this is a vehicle. You can go down to Max Meadows and see a commercial truck hauling over the road, interstate, that's got plastic signs on it.
I don't know what
Farm use.
He's talking about
Farm
farm
use.
use.
Yeah.
I didn't either at first.
I should have known.
Commercial truck, Keith, hauling interstate, and that takes some courage or lack of intelligence, one or the other.
Right.
Obviously, that truck never goes through scales anywhere. But this is a commercial over-the-road vehicle that's not paying any county taxes, may not have any insurance on it because there's no way to check it.
Joe, we write the farm use tag code every week. We're writing something.
Do we get any convictions?
Some we do, some we don't. Depends on who's the judge. Different judges look at it different ways, interpret it different ways.
Well, that one would be a test case, I think. If a judge wouldn't convict on that one, commercial over-the-road vehicle, he's not avoiding a $30 or $40 license plate. Those plates cost real money.
Right.
And I was just astounded to see this road tractor loaded that had license tags bought at Tractor Supply. And I think everybody knows if that's plate they're running, there's a likelihood there's no tax record for them. Is that right, Ms. Faye? They're not paying personal property taxes on it. They're tearing up the roads, they do pay a little gas tax. But also, that vehicle doesn't have to have any proof of insurance. And I hear that quite often the out-of-country trucks that are running here don't have insurance from other countries that are running up and down 81. But if we got our homegrown varieties, I think we could deal with that locally, can't we?
We can.
Thank you.
All right.
Keith, I will give an update on that. There's several counties complaining about that, and they brought it up to the Secretary of Public Safety. They're wanting a bill passed through Richmond that DMV has to issue a farm tag.
I think it resolved the problem.
You know, you go to DMV with your Schedule F farm taxes, and they'll issue a farm tag. Where that gets any traction, who knows? But I do want, do we have an update on the trash collection?
I don't have the poundage that they've done, but we're still picking up trash. Some weeks 3 days, some weeks 5 or 6 days.
Has the jail give us any more trustees?
Yeah,
I've asked.
They gave us another one, and they caught him stealing the day they brought him down here and sent him back. So they did give us an extra one. They haven't replaced him again yet, though. So Mr. Poffin's done a really good job about getting us trustees when we've asked, though. I don't have to hand him that one.
Okay.
Well, their efforts show. They were out early this morning and had about 4 men, and appreciate you getting that light on there.
Are we having any problems with VDOT picking the bags up in a timely manner?
Sometimes we are. Sometimes I haven't seen any recently, but I can't remember where. Somebody called me 2 or 3 days in a row about the bags sitting out there.
It may be along Route 11, I'm not sure, because they were out for a couple days.
I know that they left them out on 21 last time we picked up 21 almost all week long. And when they were out on Route 11, I think it was 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But most of the time, I'm guessing, yes, they do get it picked up.
Okay. I think Stephen has that sheet.
Okay, thank y'all.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff.
Sir, all it says is your name, beginning date, and over in the comment section, just say Interstate 81, 10 tickets, or whatever it is.
Okay.
We're good to go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Budget Committee.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee met on August 17th and made the following recommendations. There are 5 of these. The first, to amend and appropriate $13,879 to Department 31021-470030 for the surplus police vehicle sold in May of 2016.
Okay, we'll take these up one at a time. Come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any discussion? Hear none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 Yeah. Aye. And the chair votes aye. Next.
The second is to amend and appropriate $2,500 to 31022, 461260 courtroom security, transport, meals, and lodging expenses fiscal year 17.
Okay, again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any discussion or questions? Hear none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye.
The third, to accept the Victim Witness Program grant and to amend and appropriate $45,943 to the Victim Witness budget.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions? Hear none, Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye.
The fourth one, Mr. Chairman, is to amend and appropriate $2,500 to 31021 for the National Association of Drug Diversion grant received.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any discussion or questions?
The only thing, camping, you gotta spend it in 120 days.
Okay. Okay, let it sit around. Any more comments or discussion? Hearing none, do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye.
And lastly, to amend and appropriate $2,721 to account 3102-470020 for the payment of invoices related to the purchase and installation of the repeater on Big Walker Mountain.
Okay, again, come from committee. It doesn't need a second. Any questions or discussion? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Anything else from the budget committee?
No, sir.
Okay, hear none, we'll go moving into the county administrator's report. Mr. Dalton?
Chairman, if I may defer, we have two members of the LEPC here, chairman and past chairman, maybe, whatever Albert's, he's got 1,000 titles.
Okay.
What all the titles are, but if I could defer and let them come on.
Okay. Mr. Monroe, Mr. Newberry, y'all want to come on up? Good to see y'all this morning.
Thank you for having us. My name is Greg Monroe. I'm the current chairman of the Local Emergency Planning Committee, and I succeeded Albert as chairman. And just very briefly, we would just like to invite the board and Mr. Dalton to our next meeting, and we can coincide that meeting with board meeting if necessary, just so that you can meet our members and hear about the things that we do and the businesses and areas we represent.
They meet on a quarterly basis?
We meet quarterly.
The next meeting is November
17th.
November the 17th.
But if we can change it to your board meeting. And the caveat here is we're gonna feed you lunch.
It's hard to turn down a meal.
Normally, we meet about an hour at a time. We have, typically our lunch is cold cuts and chips.
But
It's not fancy.
And I was planning attending your meeting last week, but I was in Richmond. I think I sent you an email.
Yes.
Yes, I was.
And where do you meet?
We've been meeting at the Wytheville conference room at the hospital.
Okay.
Our next meeting will either be there or in the classrooms at the hospital.
Okay. If you would, send us an email. We've got some other stuff going on, but that refreshes our mind when the meeting is, and I will put this on the calendar. If you want to move it to the.
We'll just move our regular meeting to that Wednesday meeting.
Okay.
If start early in the day, that's usually our night meeting, so we'll just start. Come on up, that's okay with you guys?
Now, wait a minute. November the 17th?
Yes.
That's on a Thursday.
It is.
Yeah,
We can move
just
ours.
move our regular November meeting to the 17th.
Oh.
Or we can move our meeting either way.
Okay.
But we'll work out those deals with Mr. Monroe as we go forward. That's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Albert's in contact on a daily basis. So I think he's my boss.
I'm a county citizen.
So you are his boss.
Mr. Monroe, thank y'all for coming. Okay, Mr. Dalton.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, first item we have is a letter on revenue sharing program, FY18. Currently, we don't, I guess we are working on a couple of prospective projects with Barry was out there. If anybody knows any more, they refer them on to Mr. Bear, private roads. One of the items that's probably worthy of y'all's attention is in the revenue sharing portion. Mr. Russell's not here, but
Yeah, he
Yes.
came in.
there's a potential, I guess, of the revenue sharing that you could somehow get the ready mix road under revenue sharing. If you made an application, upgraded to be brought into the state system. So from our side of that, that's one of the things that could happen under revenue sharing. as you see with the date of application, we need to make a decision on that fairly soon. The next item is a proposal that the AMCOR has got out in the industrial park about re-gauging a track curve. It's on the county portion of the track out there. They had obtained a proposal of $18,820. We've been trying to get hold of the railroad person, Mr. Underwood. Still haven't got hold of him to see why that is needed. But if it is needed, we operate under a very strict contract with Norfolk Southern that says if they see a deficiency in the track, we've got to fix it to continue deliveries. So once we get full understanding, we will proceed with fixing the track and getting it re-gauged. And re-gauging is the width of the track. Keep from having. And in this case, they want to beef up some cross ties, etc.
And this is in the curve part.
Big curve as you're going up Kent's Lane. On page 81, you'll see a little diagram of it. Next item is Virginia 80 corridor. We're looking for some private business people to be on that board, just not government. So if we know a private business person that be willing to serve on the 8 corridor, if you can make that nomination, we'll give it the 8 corridor. We'd like to have one from Wythe County on that board. Go Virginia. I know maybe the Economic Development Committee talked about it. Go Virginia is one of those changes in how the state is operating with grants and money back to localities. I think I've preached to a couple of you guys that we need to be on the forefront of Go Virginia instead of the back end. So every new economic development issue over the past 20 years, Wythe County has been the first grantee. And we don't want to change that for this one. But we've got to go out and find some partners, regional partners, to make this happen. And we will be having another Economic Development Committee meeting after the 8 corridor meeting, which is this Thursday, I believe, to try to come up with a plan of action of who and how we could partner with. The last item is a leadership development program through the chamber. We're going to try to get a couple people in the office to go to that leadership development program this fall. The last item is the application that we submitted to Mount Rogers. I'd like the board to ratify and approve that application. It's in the board pack of my report.
Okay. We entertain a motion to approve the application.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Any questions?
That
Discussion?
is the grant application
It
for
is.
replacement funds for the sewer plant.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any more discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye.
And last, under other, the community college has put out a great new brochure of some programs, maybe not that deal with business and industry. I don't know if y'all have all seen it. I'm trying to get some copies if you didn't get one at home. But they're having a leadership class and some other things that we're probably going to come back to the board, do the budget committee, to try to get some of our department heads to that leadership class and some of these other programs that our industries in the county are using through the community college to keep us up to date with leadership skills, with millennials, all these new type of problems we're facing that we've never had to face before, but we need to invest in our people through those classes. And I've talked to Dr. Sprinkle, who's very high on all those. They've got a lot of new people down there teaching the classes. So that's the next step of the county to, I know it runs our numbers up at the community college, but they've got some programs that we need to invest in with our people.
I've noticed that WCC, I don't know if you all have seen it or not, but they've got a couple of television ads that they're running now.
Oh,
In New River Valley, they're starting to run ads.
Yeah, I've seen the one for Virginia Western and New River Valley.
Well, yeah, they've got a couple for WCC.
Because I seen it and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But with the lean manufacturing, a lot of the other programs they've got, community college now developed some really, look like really good programs I think can help the staff and the county further develop their skills. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dalton. County Attorney's Report. Mr. Farland?
Just one small thing, that there's some old pipes that were put in the ground a long time ago, made by Faye on the Eagle brand, and there was a lawsuit spearheaded by the Attorney General's office. They collected data over a period of time. We received a check for $24,000 last week. I gave it to Mr. Dalton yesterday just to say our part of that settlement. So I thought that was good news to have a little bit of income from that pipe. Hopefully we won't have any problems out of the pipe. It's already in the ground. That's all I have to report this time.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for
I've got a
County
comment.
Attorney? Joe?
Mr. Dalton, that was water line pipe, right?
Yes.
Can we earmark that money that can only be spent for replacing that old pipe? We've got all that lost water, and it's highly probable a lot of it's in that Manville line.
Well, the money was placed in the water account, so you can allocate or appropriate that money any way you'd like to do it, designated, that only be spent replacement projects. We're currently, most of you know, we're currently replacing, or in the process of replacing water pipe from the Piney Pump Station to Nixon Wilkins Road. We're taking two old 6 and 4 inches and replacing that section with money we had left from the Nixon Kitchen Wilkins water project.
Is it being replaced in kind, or is it going back as an 8?
It's going back as a 6, I believe. But we've had numerous leaks. It's just it's the old SDR 26. I don't know. That probably doesn't mean anything. We operate SDR 18 and 14 pipe today, which is 200 PSI pipe. So most of that.
Doesn't that pipe come up close to Phelps Lane in that curve?
Actually, it comes all the way to Fort Chiswell High School. We're in the process of fixing, VDOT's getting ready to pave 94. We're in the process of fixing some of those valves and things this week or next week along 94. But it did. It came at 21, 2016 all the way.
Well, this 24,000, all I'm saying, can it go toward replacing
Sure.
that bad section of pipe, which is now how many miles long through there? It's 5 or 6 miles. Wouldn't you agree it's highly probable that's where we're losing some water?
I went through there Friday, I guess, diving over. I saw 2 gopher holes on the road Friday.
Okay.
So I would say, Joe, you're 100% correct.
Well, it's money we didn't expect. It ought to go back to replace that bad pipe, in my opinion.
Y'all appropriate it for that purpose, we'll be more than happy to spend it for that.
Want to make that motion?
Does that need a motion or recommendation?
The amendment appropriate 24,000 for repairs. It needs to be amendment appropriation. So a motion.
So moved.
To have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions on what we're amending and appropriating the money for?
But if the money's in the water fund, it's in the water fund, so it'll come out, I mean, if we have to replace it, it comes out of the water fund,
Yes.
Okay. I think either way it'll get paid, so I'm all right.
Well, the reason I said that, Dr. Halton, is that it doesn't go to a new project somewhere else. It'll go to replacing that old line. That line's been an old line for a long time, and we just haven't had the money to do what everybody knew needed to be done. I don't know how far $24,000 will go on 5-mile repair, but
I don't think it'll make it.
it won't make it.
Won't go far. Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend and appropriate the 24,000, whatever I didn't write down the amount, and earmark it for replacing old line. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye.
On that subject, we will have a change order. We have the cheapest contract price we've had in a long time. We've got a contractor working out there currently. But next board meeting, we'll have a change order. We'll see how far we get.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna deviate from the agenda here. Mr. Russell, you come on up. We have some people that's here that signed up for citizens' time, and I'll let you sit down in the front row, and we'll call Mr. Cox up and on subject on Pope Road. Mr. Cox.
Yeah, most of you know why I'm here, that we've been trying to get that road blacktop for years, and we haven't been too successful doing it. It's blacktopped on both ends, we just need to get it joined. And now we got a double whammy, the bridge is gone about 1.5 years ago. And it's those are big burdens, another 6 or 7 miles each day to get in and out, round trip. And it was supposed to have been started, well, it's been gone 1.5 years, and they say it'd be about 1 year before they start it. But so far, we haven't seen anything, but we really, really need one or the other. The road blacktop or a bridge, or maybe both. I'd be happy to get one of them, because it is a big burden, that road and the bridge. So if we could get one of them, I'd be happy till we get both of them. But we really, really need one of them. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Mr. Matthews?
Well, I'm here on about the same subject, It seems like every month we're faced with the same thing on Pope Road. Washboard, comes hard rain, it washes gullies out across the road, washes the edge of the road out. Sometimes it washes out so bad on the edge, it's a hole that deep. And if a car gets too close to the edge, it's on the bottom, so. And when it's just this past week, they came through and scraped the road, but when they do that, they stir the dirt up. Then when it rains, we got mud. Now we need gravel again on top to keep us out of the mud, which we ain't getting, it seemed like. And then when it's real dry and everything, it seems like we got dust rolling all the time over houses and our cars and everything. We can't get chemicals or something put down to retard the dust. I think in 3 years, they've done it 1 or 2 times in 3 years. That seemed like it's very skimpish work, But the Pope Road, the bridge, low water bridge has been out a year and a half now. It seems like nothing's getting done to replace it or build a new bridge or whatsoever. I still don't understand how a county can close a state road like of a bridge, just close the road off and say, forget about it to us. Well, I don't understand it. But anyway, we need the bridge done. We need the road they could blacktop the road cheaper than they can maintain, trying to keep it scraped and gravel and everything on it. It's not only the condition the road gets into a lot of times. Now school started again. It's danger for the school bus to even run on, because you got a gravel road and a little bit of speed and you get in loose gravel or something, or a rough place, you don't have traction. And it'd be a shame to a school bus to wreck and hurt 25 or 30 kids just because of lack of, common sense. You almost call it common sense, because it ain't getting done. I've lived on that road for since 92, and ever since I built on that road, it was always a promise of the road being blacktopped. And like Brother Cox said, it's blacktopped on both ends, and we're here, us in the middle, about 3 miles or whatsoever, nothing. They can't even keep it up. And so anything that can be done to help us, I'd appreciate it. And I imagine everybody else on that road would too. Thank you for your.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. And we have the board the county has requested for the bridge to be replaced, but it's out of our hands. That's VDOT and the state. When they come up with the money, I'm sure they'll replace or I don't know if they got any plans. We'll ask Mr. Russell. Before I ask Mr. Russell to come up, is anybody else here? Come on up. State your name and your address, please.
Thank you. My name is Ben Favala, 611 Scratch Gravel Road, Max Meadows. And the reason I'm here is I talked to one gentleman yesterday, and I'm sorry, I didn't write his name down.
It was me.
Was it you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Tim, thank you. Similar issue at Scratch Gravel Road. Wythe and I have been coming up here for 12 years, and each year the washboard gets worse and worse. And they come up every year and they grade it and put new rock down, but the rock is gone, the gravel's gone within a month with the rain and so forth. But the washboard is never cut down. And since June, I've called 3 different times, and the answer I'm getting is if they grade it down, it will cause additional issues.
And this you're calling VDOT?
No, I'm at a county. Yes. I have an 800 number. I think it is VDOT.
Okay.
Because they don't let me talk to anybody else, and when I did get to somebody else, they were the one that recommended I come to the supervisor meeting. And anyway, it's been 12 years we've been coming here. We'd like to get it. And I don't know, I've talked to other members around the area, but everybody kind of blows it off like we're tired. We keep asking. And what this gentleman said, at the beginning of Scratch Gravel Road over Castleton, that's all Spencer land, and they get something put down on it because they complain about the dust and everything. They do get something done, but I don't understand the people beyond that, why they don't complain about the wash. I mean, I don't want to be paying for an alignment, balance of my tires, and we have to drive over it at 5 miles an hour in order not to bang up the vehicle. So if you gentlemen can get somebody to spend some time and effort, I understand there's a tar and gravel. Every 6 months, there's a tar and gravel program. I don't know what that is. I don't know how good it is, you know, but in the 12 years we've been there, there's been no tar put down. There's a lot of gravel been put down, and what this gentleman said, the county's probably spending more money scraping it and putting gravel down twice a year than if they could just get something done a little more efficient.
Well, the county is not spending money on the roads.
State.
The state is.
Oh, okay.
The state has
All
the
right.
road maintenance.
Okay.
So, and that's why we have VDOT here today.
Oh, okay.
To address some of these issues.
Well, since I'm not from the area originally, I don't understand the program, but I'm sure the people from the area do. But if something could be done, we'd appreciate it. It's a nice area, and we'd just like to have a road that could be more usable. It's
Okay.
usable, but more efficient.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Russell, you want to come up now?
I don't know which way to face this.
Well, you can, I mean, just where the mic can hear you, can face either way.
I appreciate y'all coming, and we do take your request and your concerns into consideration. I'm going to try to answer some of the questions. And Mr. Cox, good news, and probably news you won't appreciate so much, but Pope Road was added to the secondary 6-year program last year through the county, so we are, it's not going to be immediate. It could be 5 years, 6 years, but it is in line and prioritized to be hard surfaced. Now, as far as the bridge, to my knowledge, they have not identified any funding for the bridge replacement at this time. So that's where we are on that, because, I mean, that's the best I can tell you is they don't have funding to replace the bridge right now.
Well, I heard that we are going to be granted a good portion for the highways and bridges for the state
Right.
of Virginia.
Right.
Hopefully, we can get some out of that.
I'm hopeful too, but I don't control that. That's above my level, the bridges and the priority in which they want to replace them or work on. So, but I have talked with the bridge engineers at the district and let them know of our concerns that we've got the bridge that's completely shut down, and the county's looking what they're wanting, trying to get it replaced. But at that time, that's about all I can do, and that's the best I've got to tell you on the bridge.
Well, 2 times on the local news, they said Solid Road was closed for a week. Mr. McCoy heard it too, but I even went out there when I did hear it. I don't understand where that's coming from, because Solid Road goes over across the ridge. And I figured, well, shoot, they're gonna get something started, but
There's no plans at this time. No plans at this time. But we are looking to hard surface Pope Road through the secondary 6-year program. And I will add that you were talking about scratch gravel. The only method that we have that we can hard surface an unpaved road is through the secondary 6-year program. I'm given a budget every year, but that's to maintain the roads. I can't spend that on construction type projects, making road improvements. So the only avenue we have is through the secondary 6-year program. And I did go out at the request of Mr. Bear last week and looked at scratch gravel to see if it would qualify under the rural rustic method of building the road. And from what I saw, probably the first 3/4 of a mile could be constructed rural rustically. So once a year, we get together and we work in conjunction with the board, and we have a public hearing to take the request of the public, what roads you all would like, and to hear your reasoning. And we take, every year we're given an allocation from the Commonwealth Transportation Board that we can put towards these type projects. It's a yearly thing. It normally happens June, July. So my suggestion, keep your eyes open, attend the meeting, speak up for Scratch Gravel Road, and hopefully the funding will be there and we can add it.
Where is this? Is that one of these meetings?
It's held here at the courthouse, and they publish it in the paper. It's posted well, no, it's held here, this is the courthouse. The board meeting room right here is where we hold the meeting.
And it will be when next year?
Usually in June,
Okay,
July, in that area.
okay. Now, in the meantime, you talk, this, even if it's approved, it could take another 4 or 5 years. before
It's a
something's
6-year
done.
program.
Okay, so what can be done in the immediate time to get the washboard out of the road?
Routine maintenance is, you know, the
But they
blading and grading is pretty well the only thing we have.
They come once a year, but they don't grade out the washboard. They were just there in June.
I can speak with them, but they should be there more than once a year. I'm not saying they're not, but they should be, and they should be scraping out the washboards when they do it, so I can bring that to their attention.
I mean, that's, you know, if that's a temporary solution, we appreciate that very much, just to have it scraped down. Now, if it's gonna cause additional problems, it's gonna cause us more problems, then we'd like to have that explained to us. Because that's what the note is being written
Right.
against the work orders.
Kindly, when you machine an unpaved road, you don't want it to be bone dry,
Right?
because then you are creating more problems. What happens, you get segregation. The aggregate in the road has big gravel and it has fine material.
Sure.
When it's bone dry, as you work it, all your fines goes to the bottom, then you've got nothing but coarse gravel on the top. It's loose, and going up a hill, loose gravel kicks and creates washboards. So they kindly try to time it to where there's moisture in the road. That way you don't have the segregation. You've still got the fines mixed in with your coarse aggregate, and then it will bond down quicker. So they have to kind of time it. But now, understand that scratch gravel is one of very few roads that we have throughout the county that's unpaved, so that be, you know, we're limited in resources at the same time. Sir?
Is it proclaimed a historic road that it can't be paved?
No, we've got a lot of unpaved roads that we have to maintain. And as well as other stuff we have to do. So we, you know, they try to do the best they can to
I
get it.
understand. I understand. All I ask is that, you know, the people around us ask that part, because it's really only one part. If you did 3/4 of a mile, the road is 1.7 miles.
Right.
And 3/4 of a mile would take care of the part that's the worst washboard. It's between 348 and 500. And there are no homes or anything between that area. And that's the most grade, downgrade of that road. So if they could at least do that, if you could have them, and we'll pay attention to when that meeting is next June. And try and get some people to come here and talk to them. But in the meantime, if you can have them come and scrape that down, and let's see what happens. Put the gravel on it. We appreciate it.
I'll certainly mention it to them and see what we can do.
So I won't make any more phone calls?
If you need to make the phone call, you know.
I've been making them once a month, June, July, and August. There's a current one in there now.
Normally what, I would assume you're calling 1-800-367-ROADS.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when that happens, they're supposed to create a work order. Immediately, it gets sent to the area headquarters.
Right.
That notifies them that a citizen has complained or has a concern, and normally they will go out and take a look at it and schedule it to be taken care of.
Well, that's what they did in June. But in July and August, they're just saying that because it could cause additional problems, that's why they're not bringing it down to smooth
Right.
surface.
And it could have been that it was dry during that time period, but it
Well,
certainly.
the only problem with that road has a lot of trees on it. I don't care how much rain you get, there's parts of that road that does not get a lot of water on it.
Right.
So, okay.
But I would encourage you, if you do have a concern, go ahead and report it.
I will call once a month.
Right.
Be just like Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we go any further, Mr. Dalton, is there any kind of thing that else we can do? I think we've sent letters to we sent to the Transportation Board about the bridge.
Well, we actually talked down at the district level with Randy Hamilton about that road there. They've actually done a little surveying, from what I understand. area. But what they've been trying to do is find funding for that road. It's sort of unique. It was a low water bridge. I think I understand from VDOT, they don't like to put in low water bridges back.
I don't know that we can, in today's world, that they would allow us to put a low water bridge in.
So that makes it a conventional type bridge. And I know Mr. Hale and I were talking about everything from asking the Corps of Engineers to bring one of their temporary bridges over and stick in for a while to brainstorm a lot trying to figure it out.
Jeff, is that a prescriptive easement road?
I feel it is.
So, y'all wouldn't have any say in it if we could get a Bailey Bridge, single span, put in there. That would give y'all time to get the money, time to design a structure, and these people would have a bridge.
If that's something the county's interested in pursuing, just let us know.
I bet there's two guys behind you that'd like to see it.
They would want to permit it, I'm sure, and look over the plans before they would approve traffic being turned over it, but.
But even though it's prescriptive easement, VDOT would have some say because it is
still a state road.
But there's no right-of-way problem that will get involved.
Prescriptive easement is just, we don't own the property, the landowners don't own the property, so yeah, it's still their property.
So,
When you put in a bridge, if they require you to have a minimum clearance over the water, more so than the bridge that was there, then you're going to have to be looking about constructing approaches. You're going to raise the bridge up.
That's something the Corps does,
Right.
I think it'd be a good exercise for them. We've got these engineering battalions, and we ought to think about that more. We had farmers here before that talked about that they have to come all the way around to get to two parts of their farm. And that's when I come up with the idea of a Bailey Bridge. Now, your engineers reviewing it, I understand all that, but they put Abram tanks across them on major rivers. Surely we can deal with this small stream over there. They need exercises that they can come out and build these bridges on the weekend. That it seems like if you're saying the county ought to follow through on that, then I'm going to suggest that the county follow through on it.
That's what I thought you were asking, if the county wanted to pursue it. But I would imagine you would have to get permission from property owners. It would involve the citizens that own the land.
Yeah.
Even if it's a temporary easement,
Yeah, I guess I ran in Mr. Cox coming out of the courthouse the other day. Then I rode over to Pope Road. It appears to me people are pouring, when the water's down, people are pouring the creek anyway. Not sure of that, but it sure appeared that somebody is fixed to let water cross on both sides. Didn't see anybody in the creek, but I assumed that the farmer's done that so he could get corn without having to go all the way back around because it's silent. Or maybe just weekend four-wheelers, I don't know, but it appeared that they've taken pushing some sand and stuff where they've been pouring the creek here. The reason I went over, I thought maybe that was, pouring the creek was the reason. Some people thought they were going to close Silent Road. It just seemed, everybody's got a four-wheeler now, so they just cross the creek.
Yeah, that's mostly the farmers with the tractors and the bigger trucks. But you can't go across there with a car. I mean, you drag the bottom down. The tractors have been going across the creek.
Okay, before we let Mr. Russell go here, is any board member got any road issues?
I have a couple that I just sent in. I think you may have sent the one in, but Mr. Russell, on Route 11, I don't know, maybe about half mile east of New Bethel Road. There's a hole at the edge of the road, probably about 2 feet long and maybe about 18 inches in, that, if somebody's coming down the road and they hit that, it might cause some problems. It's just a repair on the edge of the road if we could. The other thing, I don't know if you would find out any more information about Walters Road. I'd talk to you about it later. It's the only dirt road around out at the Glade, going to the Glade. You said that that there's a possibility of doing something to that if that's the only place that you have to take a motor grader. And the only other thing that I would say, and I've said this before, is when people call the 800 number, I don't know I don't know how you would do this, or if you have a mechanism for doing it. But if they could just explain to people, what's going. It's been so many times that people have called me at home because they've called the 1-800 number, and the answer they get is, well, you got to talk to your board of supervisors. We don't do anything about the roads other than once a year, we place, or we try to place roads on a 6-year plan, and of course that's only if there's money available. So, I mean, of course you know how it works, but if there would be somebody on the other end of that 800 number that would kind of explain that, it would make just a whole lot more sense. And I think you understand that.
Well, and in all actuality too, the pamphlet, we've got pamphlets at the office, how do I get my road paved? One of the statements in there is contact your Board of Supervisors member.
And I guess what I'm talking about is a lot of times it's not paving in the future, it's immediate issues.
Right.
And the Board of Supervisors really has no control over immediate issues at all. And so, I mean, maybe if they could just explain that, I certainly would appreciate it.
Steve, you got any road issues?
I'm good,
Charlie?
Jeff, if you do anything like accommodation, I wish you would pass on to the guys, even if it's your comment. They did a great job on Archer Road. They did a quick job, probably with mind-boggling speed on getting that half mile done, and do appreciate it. Do you have any update on the bridge project, or are you privy to any time schedule when that's going to happen?
I think we met again since I last talked to you, and our plans right now, I believe, are to what we had talked about, and I'm trying to think, Joe, but we're going to try to schedule it to where potentially we can close that road, Miller's Creek, overnight.
Mm-hmm.
If we can start at dusk one evening, we should have the new bridge in place, the new deck, precast beams, precast beams. We can have them in place by morning and have the road back open. So that's something we would certainly coordinate with the board and the citizens that live on that road to where, they would be prepared. But, that's in our thinking, that would be ideal to close it overnight, one night, and then have the new structure in place and back open to traffic. So.
Are you thinking about precast beams and precast planks?
They're concrete beams, probably 3-4 feet wide, and however thick the length of the bridge that span it. And you just pick them up and you set them one at a time until you get the width, and then you bolt them together. So that's once you get those set, that's the bridge.
Okay. So it's something similar to a T, because you got to have a wearing surface on top. Something's got to happen to the top. You
Right.
just put beams together. But I'll have it. What I ask you, do you have any idea what the time schedule is?
I don't have a time.
So we need a little bit of warning for the county to do some things.
We'll certainly coordinate that with you all.
Like what, a couple of weeks?
Actually, I think the last time I talked to Jeff, maybe it's gonna be next spring or summer when that happens.
Okay, there's no problem with the bridge right now, as you know. And lastly, on that road, I know you gotta bring the traffic people down. We've got that, probably over a quarter mile straight away and then a curve. I believe that a curve up there at the gas valve will keep not only strangers from coming across there and thinking that that is doable at 35 or 55. If there's any place on that road now that's surface, we probably need where Moss Lane cuts out, goes straight, and the road goes left. A couple of signs there would make it a lot safer. And with that gas regulating station there, we sure don't need cars leaving the road right there.
You asking for some chevrons, Joe? Direction?
Either a chevron or the old-fashioned road curves. You know, even if they were junk signs, it would help because right there it'd be a real bad place to have a wreck with that.
They, and it hasn't happened yet because we just now finished the project and probably hadn't happened on Archer, but by code of law of Virginia, any road built as a rural rustic, the maximum speed's 35.
They put signs up already on both of them.
So what I will do, I'll have my sign guy go out there and look to see about putting some delineators up in that curve.
Yeah, and both ways, because inside you got the gas regulating station, I guess that's metering station, and if you miss that curve coming out of there, you're right in the middle of that gas station, a natural gas metering station. The other way, if a car hits there, they're still right on the perimeter of that. Safety issue only. And then I talked to Andy. He says that this year you're going to pull that ditch from where that road's sloughing off. We need a pipe there, and that's a maintenance issue. That there's probably 300 yards of drainage with no ditch. Because of the grade of the road, it comes down the road and it sloughs off right there where it's eating. The creek's not taking that road out, it's coming off from the top because that ditch comes down there and crosses, and that's why that washout place is so long. It's coming, the erosion's happening from the top of the slope, not at the bottom of the slope. And Andy was up there and looked at it about 3 weeks ago and indicated they were going to get on that because it is a maintenance issue, and it's right at the end of where the surface street stopped.
I went up there and looked at it also. We've applied for a permit, and permitting, it's in that stage right now, trying to get the permits to do that. So.
Well, I rode through there with the permitting guy, and he said I can write this one in 2 hours on a bad day.
Then it ought to be coming pretty quick.
Okay, thank you.
Coy.
I just want to say, I did meet with 2 or 3 of the citizens that live on Scratch Gravel Road. It was 3 weeks ago, I believe. And their concern was a school bus. Said they'd been hit there 2 or 3 times. I also had a call from Mrs. Jonas about the speed limit on Old School Road.
Wanting it reduced.
Mrs. Jonas said that.
Is she wanting it reduced?
Yes, it's 35. That's right before you get to Umberger Hill. A Little Reed Island, they want to see if you get that speed limit reduced to 35. Down there, I guess, where the houses are.
Those speed studies, since they come out of the secondary road fund, the board just vote on those, or just always request good enough now?
The way I've operated, if I get a request from the board, I go ahead and send it in.
Okay.
That's all I have, thank you.
Gene?
He loves me. I want to thank him, actually. I had the pothole I texted you about or emailed you about that my daughter hit. They said they fixed it like within the next day or something. The guy told me that lived over there. He was tickled to death with it. The only other thing I had is I had emailed you about some potholes on 749, and I've noticed there's a few other ones. They haven't fixed any of them that I emailed you about, so I just wanted to remind them of those before it gets too cold and they can't fix potholes.
I'll pass it on.
Yep. The only other thing is the crew that they hired to do the road to nowhere over there has done something that I did not think was possible. They took our road and made it worse than it was. I know it will. I know it will be better when it's done. But you ought to see it, Gary. They went in there and ripped the asphalt up and then went back over it and packed it back down with a roller to make it smooth. And it's rougher than it ever was. I mean, I understand they're doing it and they have to do the construction, but they made it worse than it was. I didn't think it could be possible.
Well, when I went over there, the way that it talked, I thought that road went all the way down into North Carolina, but it,
One legal question. You and Mr. Dalton consult on this one, but once we post these 35, like coming into Millers Creek, once it's posted there, do you think that covers the whole road?
All dirt roads in Wythe County are 35. So once it's posted, VDOT will not post a dirt road, but since that's paved, you're posting 35. Unless it's reposted, it stays 35. I don't understand.
So we don't want an end of 35 sign put up there. I mean, you wouldn't believe it because you've driven that road. There's people that drive 55 miles an hour on that road. Now, they create a lot of work for Coy and the record people. And they're opposed to all that being cut out, but the posting sign, to talk to the sheriff about it. I think these new posted roads, if we get a few tickets in the first month, you sort of train them that we're going to look after these roads better. Archer Road's probably even worse, and it goes all the way through and is a connector road. And that road's really done fine over there. It's set up good. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Maybe when the spring thaw happens, we'll find out whether we got the drainage right. But again, please tell the guys they did a good job with the drainage plan. It seems to be working good. We just need more of them and more roads paved.
Is that all?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I just got, wait a minute, I see, well, scratch gravel, you know, we've talked about it. Another citizens on Windy Hill Road. They want to thank you for fixing, you know, where the trucks come from hardtop onto the gravel, that big dip. They appreciated that, but it needs some grading, potholes filled in. They say it's getting pretty rough. And again, there's supposed to be, a school bus driver supposed to be drawing me a map, saying, school bus, they want some signs put up, you know, for school bus stop ahead. And I told them, draw a map where they wanted them, and I'll get with you if y'all can put them up or not. So, but I couldn't stand there and you know, she was telling me where they needed to be. I said, just, you know, please just draw me a map and indicate on the map, or, you know, where you need the signs, and I'll get with you on that as soon as I get it. Other than that, that's all I have. Stephen?
Yes, would it be possible for you to meet with me out on Olive Lane with sort of people that want to head up this project for revenue sharing this Thursday?
Probably.
If not this Thursday, look at next Monday.
I've got
Shoot
an
me an email.
okay.
Let me know.
I'll get with you.
Does anybody else have anything for
Yeah,
Russ?
I would like to say one more. Now, y'all want all y'all to get this. SIPE. It's in the worst shape been since I lived on the hill. And I've been there for 71 years.
What road is it?
Site,
Site.
It's in Ivanhoe.
that's my road.
Don't you own something you can grab with?
I'll fix
Mr.
that road.
Dalton.
I don't even have to come over. You just tell me it's all right for me to fix it.
We've heard all the bad, but what I'd like to do is commend Mr. Russell and his staff. Thank him for coordinating the repaving 21 South so that we didn't damage. He's worked the later project of paving to allow us to put a water line in. They have worked great with us on Route 94. They're getting ready to pave portions of that to allow us to fix some things that need to be fixed. They've saved us tens of thousands of dollars down on Castleton Road, allowing us to pave one lane instead of full road. They've worked great with us and been very patient with us over on Jackson School where we had a terrible contractor. We still haven't got that fixed, but I just like to commend Mr. Russell and his staff for being patient and working with us when we see things that we could do together that we've actually been able to save. And I guess our main thing was not to tear up the road, and when we finished after the project, have a good road to work, to drive on. I'd just like to thank him for that. Y'all know we talked about these others, but they've done a really good job on coordinating stuff with us.
Well, I agree with you, and I want to thank them because, you know, when citizens come to us, you know, with these complaints and, you know, we call you up here, we bring them to you. They see that things are being taken care of, and they do appreciate it, and we appreciate it tremendously. I mean, it makes our life a whole lot easier. And I think that I can say that for the whole board. And if nobody else has anything, we'll let you go.
Could I have
Yes,
5 minutes?
you can have all the time you'd like.
You'd made the comment about dirt roads and the lack of putting down calcium chloride and dust control. And I just wanted to kind of explain to you, go a little bit further. The chemical makeup of the chloride, what it does, it draws moisture. So you put this chloride out on a unpaved road, it will suppress the dust, but the way it's doing that, it's holding moisture and keeping it from drying out. Now the problem with that is when you get in a wet period where it's rained like it has for the last month, or when the winter time comes, that where you put that calcium chloride down, it's still doing what it was doing before. It's drawing moisture, which makes the road soft. Then you get rutting and you get the road busts up. So we try to be conscious and not put too much. You don't want to overdo it because you put down too much chloride, then you're fighting a busted up road, just like you all were saying. So hope that kind of explains it. We just don't go out and put it down at will. We kind of try to be aware of how much we put down to avoid problems in the future. So
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
And you're right. It seems in that area that you do put it down, there is percentage-wise more ruts, water areas than where it's not put down. But that's for those people down in that area, and they're happy to get what they get, especially with the dust that the rock is put down, gravel is put down. There is a lot of dust if you don't drive slowly, so they appreciate that.
I wanted to explain, you know, why we don't overdo the chloride. Why we do it once, maybe twice a year is for that reason. You put it out too much, then you've got a road that falls all to pieces, and you get complaints about my road's the worst it's been in 10 years, never been as bad. So, you know, it's kind of a balance in that. A few statistics I wanted to share. 20 years ago, Wythe County, we had 3 area headquarters taking care of Wythe County alone. Probably 20 employees in each area headquarters. Today, we're down to 2 area headquarters. We have 13 employees in those 2 area headquarters, and one of them maintains a portion of the northern portion of Grayson County. So And the amount of roads has increased that we maintain instead of decreased. So things are really different now than they were 20 years ago. With the two area headquarters in Wythe County are responsible for about 750 miles of roadways to maintain. And if you divide that out, that's right at 30 miles for every one employee that we're stretched out. That compiled with the budget we're given pretty well by the time we pay employees' salaries and by the time we pay equipment rental utilization fees, there's not much, if any, money left over for materials such as plant mix or aggregate. So I said that just to say, you know, these guys, I understand the complaints, and we get complaints, and they're warranted. But still, yet these guys, they're fighting an uphill battle continuously. We're asking a whole lot of them, and, you know, I'm going to stand behind them. I think they do a good job with the resources they've got, with everything they're responsible for. Not only the maintenance that we're taking care of, but the 6-year program. All these rural rustic roads we're doing with these same men in these area headquarters. And the reason we do that is to get the most bang for our buck, to make our allocations from the 6-year program go further to be able to hard surface more roads. But in doing that, we're pulling resources from the maintenance needs actually to construction to hard surface these roads. So, you know, that's something else for consideration. That's more on our plate we're trying to take care of. Speaking of the rural rustic plan, Dunford Road, we completed it last year, and the estimate on it was $450,000. The final cost was $187,000, which was $260,000 under the estimate. And that money gets put back into the 6-year plan to add more roads. Archer Road, the one we just finished, I think when we originally put it on the plan, it was going to be a construction project. It was $3.3 million. We worked with the board, we worked with the citizens. We said we were going to do it rural rustically. Our estimate was $398,000, and the final cost is $286,000. So we saved $112,000 on it, which will get put back into the program. And I didn't divide that out, but what is it, $150,000 a mile, $159,000? So that's a real good program. We're getting roads hard surfaced at a very reasonable cost, especially just compared to if we went out to construction. So we're doing all that with the area headquarter forces and getting a whole lot of roads hard surfaced. I wanted to throw those statistics out and hope you can kind of appreciate what we're up against and how much we do have to do. It isn't that we're not trying to do the work, we're just stretched pretty thin. So I just wanted to add that to you. Food for thought.
Congratulations with that, Jeff. Since you saved all that money, when can you start the next one on the plan?
And I think, what's the one up behind Shoal Ridge? Shoal Ridge, they're getting ready to hard surface it next week. And then they'll look at going on to the next one. I don't think, Shalell, that we have any in the Wytheville area headquarters priority-wise. Speedwell's pretty well loaded up. Kind of something we've been throwing around is, you know, Speedwell, they've got their area of Wythe County, and of course they're taking care of the northern part of Grayson too, so they're pretty well covered up with these rural rustic plans. As the Wytheville area doesn't have anything in priority for probably the next couple of years, we're probably looking at having him come over and help some of the new some of the projects in Speedwell's area. Something close, New Bethel, some of those, and that way we don't want to fall behind on it. So.
Well, there's a couple there that really short distances. The board needs, if you've saved all that money, maybe the board needs to look at reprioritizing some of them real short distance. New Bethel's got 2 short ends on it, it doesn't really need a lot. Miller Creek's got a little short end that doesn't need a lot. I think it's on the plan.
Yeah, Jim, Miller Creek's still in the plan, isn't it?
Yeah, but
It's way out.
it's way out
You know,
in years.
We originally talked about a mile. We got a half a mile. We need 7/10 to get as far as the bus is going, and that's all anybody's asking for. If you drove it, it would be another very low cost road. Most of it you got the width. I mean, you got surface width, not right-of-way width. There's only one place there that might need some work from where you stopped, where that ditch goes up the hill, right there at the end where Smith Road cuts. And I wish you'd look at that, because that would complete that one. And the bus is the problem. There's no doubt about it, the bus is the problem.
We, Joe, of course, the board prioritizes the projects in the order, and we allocate funding to the projects according to the priority. So Miller's Creek it will receive its funding in 2020. So when it is funded.
And Jeff is obligated to build roads like we're planning. And I guess that's that reason I said there were some short sections that y'all need to talk about. Jeff was probably willing to do it in the order that you asked, but it's the board that set that priority.
Well, obviously, we want the most road we can get for the money you got left. And if it'll get those short ones off the list, it helps him, and it'll move the others up for him.
Well, it doesn't hurt him.
Right
See,
now,
we were just in Richmond last week, and we hear all these great things from VDOT about how we're going to reorganize again. And good things about secondary roads, good things about maintenance. Some of it even carried to the board of directors, right, at VACOR, to reinforce more secondary maintenance money and construction money. Under the latest adjustment we're aware of, there's going to be something like block grants made to the Bristol district. Is that right? Isn't that correct, what they're saying now with HB 2 being repurposed?
HB2 doesn't reach down to the secondary level.
Okay, so they were talking about that kind of thing, though, that they're going to try to get more money to secondary. And VACOR's pushing for it, obviously, because we have a good rural voice there. And it seems like all counties have about the same problems in rural counties. But the general talk, and some of it, anytime we're in a group meeting, you know, that some of them are pretty far-fetched of what people want. But the overall program is that they're going to push for more money to be put into secondary maintenance and construction.
I'll vote for that.
At the end of the day, could you just send us an email and say how much money you saved? As a group, we can sort of go through that 6-year plan and look at those short sections. Take a public hearing, I understand, read prior. Is that correct?
Probably take a resolution.
President? If you send us that, we'll be board, as a group, and just go through those topics.
Okay. If nobody else has anything for Mr. Russell, yes.
Is scratch gravel at all on a 6-year plan?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay, so that's why you said it. All right.
Okay, if that's all from Mr. Russell, we're going to take about a 10-minute break before we start back with the rest of our agenda. Go into our supervisor reports, and the first, Black Lake District.
Don't have anything.
West Wytheville,
Don't have anything at this time.
East Wytheville,
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing.
Fort Chiswell,
Done give my,
Speedwell. And I don't have anything either. Doesn't give mine too. Okay.
It'd be like if y'all would just have the road guy come every time y'all get rid of county administrator.
I think his life would be better if he come to every meeting.
Sounds like.
Okay. Move right along in our agenda. We have the consent calendar. Entertain a motion to approve the August 23rd, 2016 agenda calendar.
Mr. Chairman,
Consent calendar, man.
I made a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye. We done had Mr. Newberry here. Mr. Dalton, you want to summarize the Reed Creek Mill?
I think we have a package, if you have any comments concerning the old mill being turned into Virginia Historic Place. I wrote it down there, it was good. With the old dam and the mill and everything, that's probably a good thing. With his plans to convert it potentially into a brewery, I think it'd be advantageous to the community.
I think it will
So I
be.
ask that y'all send a letter of support.
I agree. He's done a lot of work down there, cleaned the Reed Creek Mill up, redone the outside, redone the landscaping around it, and made a good tourism site, in my opinion, if we can get it, he can get it up and running for that.
So is he seeking or are you suggesting a letter of support?
Yeah, for being included in the historic.
All right, well, I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Tim, I've met with him. For y'all's information, he restoring that bridge, and if he actually goes through with putting those generators back to work, which he wants to do, I believe the thing would also qualify for one of those engineering historic sites. That thing was making power around 1900, and if Bill or some of you fellows that understand it, go down there and look at those generators, they're unique. Even today, they're historic. They ought to be in a museum. But if he restores those, and he's followed up with his research, the company that made them is still available, and that's his long-range plan, is to put the mill back to making power enough to run its own park lights and everything. And I think it truly could be a visitor site. It's some of the best post and beam design you'll find anywhere. Anybody knows much about post and beam construction. If you go in there and look at the craftsmanship that was available on that structure, it's phenomenal the way those old mill buildings were built.
Well, it was on salvage dogs, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Where they tore all of them, what do they call them, where the flare and the...
Yeah, they took all those belts out.
And the bins.
Yeah.
Bins. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Dalton, is there anything else we need to bring up before we go into closed session?
I think I sent you all emails, we're advertising, the grading, the expo site, we have a free bid September the 8th. open bid September the 20th. We also are meeting, it's going to be with the initial layout of the building, architects, engineers, either on August 30th or September the 1st. To finalize that layout. It has changed dramatically from being maybe a square box to a L shape or a T shape. But we'll see all that happen during export and finally approved.
Okay. David, I know you're still here and we hadn't had an update in a while. Can we add industrial prospects to this closed session and have David give us an update, if you don't mind? Okay. I entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors convene a closed meeting to discuss the following, and I'm assuming personnel.
Personnel and.
Okay. First is as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2 3711A1, a personnel matter, and also is permitted by Virginia Code 2.2 3711A5, a matter involving new industry.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in closed session.
Such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, and considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors.
And I have a second on certification, resolution certification. Motion and a second, any discussion? Here none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman? Aye. Aye. Matt?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, so the interview started at 2. Okay, we'll be in recess 1:45.